Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Ash Paulson and Ted Shadow Weeson to discuss the final piece of DLC for Hyrule Warriors, as well as its DLC strategy as a whole. Because, well, let's be honest guys, this has probably been one of the best sets of DLC we've ever seen from any game. It's been a great value, there's been a lot to it, and it's added hours of gameplay, as Ted can attest to.
Yeah, someone send help, please. Oddly enough, considering how much time it took before Nintendo really embraced the idea of DLC as a whole, the stuff they've tried has been really, really good. Like, even before Hyrule Warriors, Mario Golf had a lot of really worthwhile DLC in it. And yeah, I've probably put like 200 hours into finishing all the DLC in its entirety, and I only just finished that up earlier this week, so yeah, this is the game that never ends.
You're a madman. I mean, Hyrule Warriors was the surprise time sink for me of 2014. I put a lot of time into it, obviously, but nowhere near the time you put into it, and I can't even imagine completing even one adventure mode map, let alone every DLC adventure mode map as well.
Last time I checked, my playtime was over 350 hours. And
wow.
Yeah, I know, I'm nuts. But the thing is when I was first playing the game, it's odd, like, I didn't really plan on even beating the first adventure mode map, but then I did, and then, you know, I got a good way into the Master Quest map, and, you know, at some point, I beat so much of it that stopping then would just be quitting. So I've kept on going, and it's been surprisingly rewarding, a little bit mind-numbing at points, because it is a lot of the same thing, and there is a lot of grinding involved. But it is just, for somebody who does want to go for like 100% of the 100%, it is a staggering amount of content, almost overwhelming in some instances. But, you know, it's something that I can be both ashamed of and proud of at the same time, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've completed the adventure mode map, and I've worked a little bit on the Master Quest map. I haven't even touched the Termina map or the Majora's Mask map, because there's just so much there, and because it just keeps gradually getting harder. So you have to beat those earlier maps in order to take on the later maps, because these missions just get so demanding and just so tough.
Yeah, the worst one about that is by far the Twilight Princess map, and the issue I had with the Twilight Princess map is a lot of the times the challenge doesn't really seem fair. It just sort of seems like if you get hit once by even like the smallest of attacks, you'll be taking like 3 or 4 hearts of damage. And if you get hit by a boss's attack, I've gotten up to 20 at once when I got hit by Sia's like Dark Link kind of thing. And, you know, most of these maps, in order to get an A rank on it, you have to take less than 10 hearts, so you basically have to do no hit runs of most of the Twilight Princess map. Thankfully, you know, the Majora's Mask pack isn't nearly as demanding on that front. Everybody just has a lot more health. So yeah, if you wanna win, you have to do a ridiculous amount of grinding, which is, you know, what I've been doing for the most part. It's a good thing to do when like I'm waiting for a video to render on my computer or something. Is just like get a few levels grinded or whatnot.
These packs have been also just full because we got Sia, Volga, and Wizro, but the Master Quest pack is what allowed us to get their better weapons and all that stuff. And then with every other DLC pack up until this point, we've gotten new characters as well as new costumes, and they've all been just really good and really sort of fit every need. Now, I know a lot of people are out there, like, I always see people commenting is like, where's Groose? We want Groose. And and a lot of people were upset that Skull Kid was not a playable character. Instead, his outfit was just one of Lana's, which, you know, I can sort of understand that. But that's the thing, is that there's still, for what we got, there's a ton there. And there's just, it's sort of amazing, because you can even buy these piecemeal. Of course, it's a little bit more expensive if you buy them piecemeal. But these updates, just the updates have been mind-blowing as far as content, because they've added new potions, new medals, extended the level cap, and really found ways to fix the game and make it better, like being able to skip introductions. It's nice to see a game be supported this much, even without, the paid DLC.
You don't see games be updated this much after launch, unless if it's like a multiplayer-focused game, I've noticed. And even then, that's only if the multiplayer community continues to strive, like after 6 months after the game releases.
I'm honestly really impressed with how much they supported this game after launch, and as I understand it, this game sold really well for Tecmo Koei. So I'm not really surprised that they're supporting it the way they have, because I guess it's really been one of their best-selling Musou games ever, as far as I understand it, especially in the U.S. But no, it really, it's such a comprehensive lineup of DLC and balance updates and mechanic updates. It's just really impressive. And Ted, I'm sure you've probably seen, but they're not even done. Like, even though the boss pack is supposed to be the quote unquote last update, people have found that if you A rank a certain mission, or a Japanese guy uploaded a video, you can play as a giant cuckoo.
Is it Cuckoo or Cuckoo?
I thought it was cuckoo, but then I started hearing people say cuckoo, so I'm just saying cuckoo. Okay. I don't know.
Chicken. Yeah,
chicken.
Like that's that's just absolutely nuts.
It's crazy.
That's like the kind of hidden thing that I love to see in games, and yeah, it's just the amount of updates they've given this game is just insane. Especially considering the fact that a lot of them aren't are stuff that I think objectively makes the game an awful lot better. Like turning off, I don't know how I would have gotten all the way through adventure mode if I couldn't select whatever music I wanted, because I absolutely love Eclipse of the Sun, which is one of the tracks. Mm-hmm. So being able to play that in every stage helps a lot. And also skipping introductions, that. It got really annoying whenever I was doing the first level in the first adventure map to get a compass. It's just like you see King Dodongo go da 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 da, and then it's being able to skip that is lovely. And they've also been doing there's also plenty of behind the scenes tweaks as well. There's the stuff that they list on the update screen, but then they've also been doing gameplay changes as well. Like, I believe in the most recent US update at the time of this recording, which is, I believe, 1.5.0. They've changed a handful of things, including Zant being able to dodge roll out of certain combos that he couldn't before. I believe Ganondorf's charge time for his darkness meter is also increased, although don't quote me on that one. So, they've been going through, I think, what people's complaints have been, and really trying to make the game as playable as possible, and I gotta commend them. This is, for stuff that they're giving away for free, that it's really, really great stuff.
I mean, one of the biggest complaints people had after the last update was that the load times got increased, and now this 1.6 update will fix those load times. So it's like they noticed there was a problem, and immediately there's an update to help people get over that problem. It's really to be commended,
especially considering how quick 1.6 is coming out after 1.5. There was a pretty big gap between the Twilight Princess pack and the Majora's Mask pack, but the boss pack's coming out in the US about a month after the Majora's Mask pack came out. So they're really rolling it out as quick as they can. Yeah,
and the really ironic part is that this is all coming from quote unquote Nintendo. It's, I guess, it's technically Koei, but still, the fact that this is a Nintendo game, it's crazy. You don't really, when you think of Nintendo, you obviously don't think of DLC, let alone well-supported DLC. But, the last year in 2014, we got Mario Kart 8, we got this. It's really, it seems like they're kind of turning a page here.
Yeah, it makes you kind of wonder how they'll be able to handle it in other games, because, there's already been so much speculation about Smash Brothers DLC, whether we'll get somebody other than Mewtwo. All of that. But Sakurai, I think, seems to be a little bit iffy on DLC. He doesn't really want to work on it. So I'm not sure if we'll see a lot for Smash Brothers, despite that being the most obvious pick. But I'm just interested in seeing if there are any other games coming out that will really sort of support this model very well, because the Dynasty Warriors formula, I think, lends itself to making DLC an awful lot, because you can throw in new characters without having to change an awful lot. And also
Right.
the adventure maps, aside from making the new like all of the maps, like all the missions in the adventure maps, I should say, all reuse assets. Occasionally they'll like throw a dark skin onto a different character, so now you're fighting a dark nut or something. I've noticed that there's very little new coding in every new adventure pack. Like there's occasionally like a handful of new mission types, but they're all repeated across the entire map. So
Sure.
it's very easy. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's easy to make a lot of content per DLC pack for Hyrule Warriors as opposed to something else. So I'm wondering if this model, if they can reuse this kind of model for a different game, or if they'll have to start from scratch if they wanted to make DLC for, I don't know, Star Fox or something.
Yeah, I feel like Splatoon's probably going to be pretty DLC heavy. It's eventually. I feel like the kind of gameplay that it is, just the overall. I mean, you got the hub world. You can customize your character. So heavily. I feel like Splatoon is going to be a huge candidate for DLC post-release.
That makes sense.
And I hope it's going to be something like this, where here's an update to fix some balance changes, and then here's some extra content, if you so desire. And I think Tecmo Koei has realized how good this formula works, because already in Japan, they've already released Dragon Quest Heroes there, which is the Dragon Quest version of the Warriors franchise. And they think they're about to, or just did, release a free update that gives you a brand new character.
Oh,
nice.
Already they're lending that kind of support to the next game in the series. And, I'm not much of a Dragon Quest person. I've played a couple of the games, but I am kind of interested in Dragon Quest Heroes, just because this formula works so well for pretty much any game. You just toss in some powerful heroes, some mooks, and put in some flavor from their games, and you have a really exciting game.
I've played Dragon Quests 4, 5, and 6 on the DS, and I enjoy those games greatly. A lot of people, when it was announced that Dragon Quest Heroes was coming to the US, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Ted, you gonna play it? Oh, look at all the grinding you're gonna have to do." And I don't think I will play any other. If I play another Warriors game ever again, I'm not playing it to the extent that I have played Hyrule Warriors. Like, once was enough for me. Thanks. But yeah, it's just there. I do think that this formula could work for so many different franchises, because I believe they've done interviews with different people from Nintendo saying that they'd be open to the idea of like a Pokemon Warriors or a Mario Warriors or what have you. And I think I'm not sure about Mario, but depending on like the cast list that they choose, I think a Pokemon version could work incredibly well. It would just depend on what Pokemon they choose to be like the tiny mooks, which ones get to be the captains you fight, which ones you get to control, etc. Legendaries as giant bosses would be awesome, though. I just realized. Wow.
Well, they even have a setting for that. They could focus on the great Pokemon war from X and Y.
Oh yeah. Wow! They could even like make it canon and. Oh wow.
Now
I kind of want that now.
No, there's definitely potential there.
Damn it! I'd grind for that one too.
That's sort of the brilliant thing about this, and I love how they're finding ways to make each of these unique. Like the adventure mode maps work so well for Hyrule Warriors, and I've already heard that Dragon Quest Heroes has, rather than just picking one character, you pick 4, and you can switch between them at any time. So that actually would make the grinding a little bit easier because of that.
It would also make multitasking in the missions an awful lot easier, because I know that a lot of people can sometimes get overwhelmed with a Hyrule Warriors battle, because you've often got like 3 different things going on at the same time. Like your objective is capture this base, but also there's this boss character running around and causing havoc that you have to deal with, and at the same time like 2 or 3 waves of enemies are heading towards the allied base, and you have to decide which one of those objectives is the most important to do first. So I know that some people find that a little bit overwhelming. So I think that having the multiple characters does make multitasking like that an awful lot more manageable.
I guess we should actually talk about this final piece of DLC, the way they decided to end this whole thing on, which is the boss pack. And it's only $3, so you're not getting quite as much, but you're still being able to do the new mode called the Boss Challenge, where you're basically just taking on a horde of bosses all at the same time and seeing how long you can last in that setting. And then Ganon's Fury, which you get to play as Ganon and just tear into everything, which looks like a lot of fun. And that's also how you unlock your new character in the form of the Cuckoo or Cuckoo. And then you get new costumes for Link, Zelda, Lana, Ganondorf, and Sia by playing through these modes. So even now, even though it's still just 2 different modes, they found a way to squeeze in just that much more content, and I kind of love them for it.
I mean, same here. I will say that the boss rush pretty much holds 0 interest to me, because I found the boss fights, especially as many times as you need to repeat them in adventure mode, to be kind of the low point of the game. They're still cool the first few times you fight them, but eventually it's just like, oh, I don't want to fight these bosses anymore. So, the idea of a boss rush mode holds 0 appeal to me. But Ganon's Fury, oh man, that trailer, the videos that are out there, oh man, that looks so fun. To just, as you said, Derek, to tear into everything as Ganon.
Man, the Ganon mode does look like so much fun. To go back to boss challenge for a moment, from the video that we've seen in the trailers, the thing that makes me not really looking forward to that particular mode is the fact that they have footage of 3 King Dodongos on the screen at once. And my least favorite, okay, I'm not going to say least favorite because there's a lot of adventure mode missions that bug me, but I'm never a fan of the fight 3 bosses at once adventure mode maps, because, oh, I'm trying to throw the bombs into King Dodongo's mouth, and suddenly I'm pelted with Manhandla's seed attack, and I've taken 20 hearts, and now I gotta start the mission over again. So I think it just, that I'm probably gonna go through that mode as fast as possible, unlock everything I can, and then never touch it ever again. But Ganon mode, oh man, that just looks so cool. You tower over the giant bosses in that game. And I believe other Warriors games have allowed you to play as the giant boss monsters before, but I've never done it myself since this is my first Dynasty Warrior styled game. So I'm really looking forward to see how much damage I can wreak on all these enemies. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. Boss challenge mode. We all kind of expected that to be at least one of the modes because it's just the most obvious one. I will say it'll probably be nice in order to grind for the materials you need to get from the bosses. It's just a nice quick way to do that. It does look quite annoying in the fact that you have to handle all of them at once, and it's just not really looking forward to that whole thing. But as both of you guys said, Ganon's Fury just looks amazingly fun to play, and I can't wait to try it all out and just wreck everything. And I think that's a good way to just, you already get to sort of unwind by playing the normal modes. This one, you just really let it unwind, because you're basically bigger than every other boss. It was so much fun to see him just smack Manhandler around in the trailer. So yeah, I thought that was, I think it's a pretty cool way to end out the DLC.
I think the only disappointing thing about the DLC in general is, I think, oddly enough, the DLC characters. I think, because, Twilight, Midna, Young Link, and Tingle are all great characters. They're a lot of fun to play, but there's nothing to really use them in, I think, which is the biggest disappointment regarding them.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
When Volga, Wizrow, and Sia were all released, the map, they were released along with the Master Quest map. And that gave you a lot of stuff to do with those new characters. But when Twilight Midna was released, I was expecting to have a whole bunch of adventure mode missions with her. And she didn't get any of that. So, and same thing with Young Link and Tingle. They're basically, you basically never get to use them, which is a shame. So I'm hoping that boss challenge mode at least makes it so that they'll have an even number of hearts for everybody else, but I'm not really counting on it at this point.
I have to say, I kind of agree with the Skull Kid Brigade. Tingle's one of my least favorite Nintendo characters ever, and I really do think Skull Kid wearing Majora's Mask would have been a much more interesting playable character.
Oh, Tingle's hilarious. Tingle is the funniest thing in the entire game. One of his attacks is he throws a gold statue of himself at people. How can you not love that?
He just, I don't know, he just irritates me. But I guess, I may not be I don't know. I've never liked Tingle, so this isn't new, but I don't know. I would have liked to see Skull Kid, but I do, to touch on something positive, I think by far my favorite thing about this DLC has been the 8-bit weapons and how incredibly creative they've been. I love Darunia, how he swings around the 8-bit food from Zelda 1. That is the coolest thing. And just the fact that all these characters have these giant 8-bit weapons and they're used in such interesting, creative ways, that has to have been my favorite part of all this DLC.
The recolors too, like the extra costumes you get, have been surprisingly creative an awful lot.
That's true, they have. Yeah.
Like I'm not huge on mainline Zelda, so I didn't get an awful lot. I got some of the references. Like I got like that. For example, Zelda's Master Quest costume is Hilda, but what I didn't get is that her blue dress from the Twilight Princess map is actually supposed to be based off of her Link to the Past design, which I just thought it was like a nice blue dress. I actually prefer the blue on her rather than the pink. I really love the masks that came with the Majora's Mask DLC, because like I don't know, seeing Zant walk around with the Gorman Brothers mask is just like it's awesome.
That was great. Yeah. And I loved Girahim with Kamaro's mask. That was clever.
All right, guys. Well, I think that about covers it for our Hyrule Warriors discussion. And so thank you guys for watching. And Ted, where can they find you at?
You can find me at Brain Scratch Cons. We cover a whole bunch of different games. We've done quite a few Zelda games at this point. I also have my own channel, just X and Shadow, where I've been uploading replays of grinding streams from Hyrule Warriors that I've been doing recently. So if you want some Hyrule Warriors background noise as me and some of my friends, you know, just talk about whatever, that's a good time as well. So hope you check it out.
All right, guys, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Hyrule Warriors and other things gaming too. Till next time, guys. Bye.